Happy Friday, everybody. It's your boy Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast. This is sponsored by Pub Sports Radio, and this is the undefeated post-weigh-in show. There's been a lot of clamor in the comments lately. There have been a lot of rumors going around, and I just want to address them that the show is not, in fact, undefeated. And I just want to lay all of those rumors to rest. This show always has been and always will be undefeated. It will forever be the best show on MMA sports betting content on the internet, and it will be for the future for 100 years. 100 years, undefeated Die Hard MMA post-weigh-in show recap. Nobody, everybody's lying to you. It's undefeated. It will always be undefeated. Let's talk UFC Vegas 36. We got a good one. Thank you, Richard, for the hat. It goes out of frame. Yeah, that's much better. It fits right on my head. We are talking UFC Vegas 36, and we started off today in exciting fashion. Actually, we ended the day in exciting fashion, but it's the first fight that we get to talk about. So, because of that, it's exciting for us to start the show with. We've got Marcelo Rojo taking on Jonathan Martinez, and the big spot today, the big moment for us to discuss today, was Jonathan Martinez coming in at 138 pounds. He was the last person to the scale today. He needed assistance walking to the stage. He was extremely sucked out. He had heavy feet. He was tripping over himself getting up onto the scale. I just spit a little. He was tripping over himself getting up onto the scale, and he tried to get off without posing, without flexing. He wanted out of there as quickly as humanly possible, and he was holding his arm off to the side, almost like Vegeta when he gets his ass kicked in every single DBZ fight ever. He was holding on to himself. He looked awful. He looked terrible, and he immediately started pounding rehydration stuff as soon as he got off the scale. He is not weighing back in. This is the end of it, folks. Marcelo Rojo came in at 135.5, and he looked fantastic. We talked about how his last fight against Charles Jourdain was short notice, up a class so that he could make the weight. Even though these guys both fight at 135, generally speaking, he came in heavy because he was on the short notice, but this time he's finally got a full camp. He looked incredible. He was shredded. He looked great on the scales. And then when they faced off, Marcelo Rojo is the bigger man. He's the bigger of the two fighters. He's going to have a size advantage here. Rojo was all smiles. You can see the venomous intent of this man. He is ready to come. This checks absolutely all of my boxes when looking for a post-weigh-in show read. These are exactly the kind of spots that I live for. There are people out there that say I read way too much into weight misses, that I look too much into how people look on the scales. You best damn believe I do. And today I am locking in Marcelo Rojo plus 140, 2-unit shot on the dog, because I think he's taking on a very weakened Jonathan Martinez, and I don't think 24 hours of rehydration is going to be enough to fix what I saw. Martinez is coming off of a bad knockout loss. Now he's going to be sucked out, he's going to be dehydrated, he's going to be weak, and he's also the smaller man. On top of that, I talked about how he really struggles with fighters who bring the fight to him, who get in his face, who put him on the back foot. That's exactly what Marcelo Rojo does. I was tempted to say this fight was dog or pass earlier in the week. I talked on Monday how I thought Jonathan Martinez was probably still the side, but I didn't want to lay this kind of chalk on him. This is more than enough for me to take a stab with the underdog. I'm going 2 units on the money line, and I'm putting a unit on inside the distance, because plus 350 for Rojo, a man who does nothing but finish his opponents, to get it done over a weakened opponent who just got KO'd, yeah, I'm taking that shot. I got 3 units risked on the first fight of the night, and things just got interesting for my mimosa and waffles MMA Saturday morning. Forgot to mention that. It's an early start, folks. 1:30 a.m. Eastern time. So don't forget, don't try to wait until 4:30 p.m. or whatever you usually do. You will have missed the entire preliminary card. So, early start on Saturday. Just a heads up. Next fight up, Dalcha Lungiambula taking on Marc-Andre Barrios. Dalcha came in at 185 and Marc-Andre came in at 184.5. Now, Dalcha, he actually looked fantastic. He was absolutely jacked, no weight cutting issues. I have no idea how this guy makes 185, but he looked pretty spectacular today on the scales. I am not going to lie. Marc-Andre, absolute brick wall. He came in super, super good shape this time out. He popped for PEDs a couple fights ago, took a long layoff. We all expected him to kind of backslide physically speaking, but if anything, he's improving. He must have gotten a new doctor, but he was making extra flexes up there on the scale. This guy is ready to go. They size up extremely well. Now, I was expecting Marc-Andre Barrel to have a significant size advantage in this fight. He is larger. It's not significant. Dolce is much bigger than I expected him to be once they got toe-to-toe, and that's kind of the story of this entire weigh-in here. I've got a lot of information where I made assumptions and was incorrect as far as the size of these fighters on Saturday. Barrel's going to have a slight size advantage. This is a spot where I locked in Marc-Andre minus 145 earlier in the week. That line is about minus 165, minus 170 now, so beat the line move. Feel good about that. I still stand... I just smacked my computer. I'm all over the place today. Too much coffee. I absolutely stand by what I said about Marc-Andre. I think he's going to be able to defend the takedown, get back to his feet, and as long as he doesn't get flatlined in that first round, he's just the better overall fighter, and I don't expect a ton of improvements from a 36-year-old Dolce Lungiambula. Julian Erosa taking on Charles Air Jourdain. We got a 150-pound catch weight. These men both weighed in at 149.5. Julian Erosa looked good. He looked solid. Took his rehydration materials to the stage with him, though. He's a big guy, struggles to make this weight cut and get down that quickly for another short notice fight here. Jourdain, very quick weigh-in. He was solid. He flexed hard. He was shredded. And this is a solid fight. Everybody's super excited about this one. Erosa's got a decent size advantage here in this spot. Very respectful face-off. Both guys look like they're ready to go. This is yet another dog or pass situation for me. I know a lot of people, once again, they say I look too far into what the fighters have to say and things of that nature, but Julian Erosa talking about wanting to come out and grapple for 15 minutes when he's the bigger man of the two, when he's going against an opponent with a sketchy takedown defense history. I think he can do it. I absolutely do. As much as I love Charles Jourdain, I think this is a dog or pass situation. If Erosa ends up standing and trading with Jourdain, then absolutely Jourdain can land that kill shot because this kid is a finisher, but I do not want to lay that price tag on a guy who may end up on his back for 15 minutes. Jack Shore taking on Liudvik Sholinian. Jack Shore came in at 136. Liudvik came in at 135. Shore looked confident. He looked excellent on the scales. I made a joke about how pasty white all these fighters are this week and how it's blinding me. I'm the one wearing sunglasses at weigh-ins today. Liudvik came in at 135 looking exhausted, really rough. He's another short notice fill-in fighter. He got the job done. He got on the scale. He did what he needed to do, but he did not look good. His eyes, you could see the exhaustion in his face. Would be expected with this kind of a short notice fill-in. But the thing I'm not expecting here, or wasn't expecting here, is Shore is massive. Liudvik is a guy who, based on his opponents previously, based on the tape that I've watched, I thought he was going to be the bigger man. I thought he was going to have a size advantage over Shore. Shore is huge. Shore looks like he belongs at 145, not 135. So big size advantage for Jack Shore, and that completely changes my outlook on this fight because I thought Shore may gas out and tire trying to take down a bigger man, rinse and repeat for 15 minutes. He's the bigger guy. He's going to have the strength advantage. We already know he's got the higher ceiling. We already know that he's got the wrestling advantage. We already know how offensively capable this guy is. So now that he's also got the size and strength advantage, at least up here, I have no problem taking a shot on Shore. I locked in Shore inside the distance, plus 110, found a sneaky little plus money line out there. You're probably going to get even money or minus 110 most places that you look, so make sure you shop around. But I think Shore inside the distance is the move because taking on a short notice opponent, a guy who probably doesn't have cardio prepared for 15 minutes of war with a fighter like Jack Shore, he's going to end up on bottom. He's going to end up getting back mounted. He's going to end up getting flattened out. Whether it's a TKO or a submission, I think Shore gets him out of there and relatively violently. Molly McCann taking on Ji-Yoon Kim. Molly McCann came in at 125.5. Ji-Yoon Kim, 126. Molly looked excellent, if I'm being honest with her. She is not really the most imposing fighter in the world, but she looked like she was more defined. You could see more of the muscle. I think she really put some serious effort in on this camp. She's been talking about it in all of her interviews, and you can see the difference in her physicality. Ji-Yoon Kim, absolute relief on her face when her weight got called. She was struggling a little bit to make that 126 mark. She's big for the division. She had a big smile, gave a nice flex. You know, she's tall, skinny, kind of a lanky fighter, so not overly imposing physically speaking, but she's got the height and reach advantage here. And when they faced off, this was an excellent face-off. Molly was talking. It was an intense stare down, but let me tell you something. Once again, I found myself surprised. Molly is not small. There is a significant reach advantage for Ji-Yoon Kim, but Molly is much thicker than Ji-Yoon Kim is. I thought Kim was going to have a more significant size and height advantage here in this spot, but she really doesn't. If she's not able to really go to work with that jab, she's going to have a hard time keeping Molly McCann off her, because Molly looks like a tank up there. I have been doing this all week on this fight. I could not make up my mind. I got sold on Ji-Yoon Kim. I got sold on the fact that she was going to be able to paw that jab out there and keep the range and maybe even hurt someone like Molly McCann, because they do call her Fire Fist for a reason. She does hit hard. She's taken a year off. I expect improvements. I like her overall game. But seeing Molly McCann, the kind of shape that she's in, the kind of motivation she's coming with, and the fact that she's just an absolute tank up there when compared to Kim. I think physically speaking, Kim's going to have a hard time keeping her off of her. And if that's the case, then Molly McCann has more volume. She's got better boxing. She'll be able to stay inside. And if she wants to go to the grappling, I know that Kim has been working hard on that takedown defense. I know she's been working hard on that get-up game. I don't know if Molly McCann even needs it, but if she wants to mix in the grappling, it's going to be real hard to make an argument for Kim at the end of this fight. So I bounced from starting on Molly to leaning to Kim back to Molly. So I'm saying Molly McCann, and it's a pick 'em price tag. I'm probably not going to bet it because, again, when I'm doing this, I always end up talking myself into a hole. But I'm thinking Molly McCann at the end of the week. Final order, final call. Paddy Pimblett taking on Luigi Vendramini. Both guys came in at 155.5. Both guys looked excellent. They both gave solid flexes. Paddy Pimblett's in really great shape. He does look like one of the Beatles. Luigi Vendramini, stone cold, dialed in up there on the scales. He knows he's being brought in to lose to a prospect that the UFC has hyped up, and he's taken that a bit personally, it looks like. Luigi Vendramini gave Paddy the crazy eyes when they got face-to-face with each other. Paddy stayed with him, though. When he was kind of doing the snake crazy eyes thing at him, Paddy just kept smiling and followed him side to side. It was a fun face-off, really good one. Size advantage goes to Paddy. We talked about how we're not sure he's very good at wrestling, so I don't know how much that size advantage is really going to play in this fight to begin with. And honestly, I need to start tracking the crazy eyes, because when fighters come in with crazy eyes, I don't know what it is, but it makes me always want to back them. When they're the ones having that emotional fire, that heat that you can see coming off of them in their faces, I just feel like they're going to win every time for some reason. There's no science to back that up, so I should probably start tracking and see how that turns out. I had a slight lean to Luigi Vendramini here. I know he hits harder than Paddy. They're comparable on the ground, and I don't know if Paddy is a good enough wrestler to get it to the mat where maybe he has an advantage. The reach of Paddy is potentially a problem. Luigi struggled with that last time out, but he's a young, improving fighter. He may have a new wrinkle. He may have an answer for that this time, and Paddy is not the slickest striker we've ever seen. So kind of leaning dog or pass here in this spot. Once again, have not bet this one, but dog or pass, under or pass, those are kind of the ways that I would look here. Modestas Bukauskas taking on Khalil. Rountree Jr. light heavyweight fight here. Modestas came in at 205. Rountree came in at 205.5. Modestas is thick. This boy is big for 205. Gave a solid flex. Khalil Rountree came in, and I think that's the best shape I've ever seen Khalil in. He looked absolutely popping on the scales. Now, he's a physical specimen. He always looks good, but he looked excellent today. Now, there's a significant size advantage for Modestas Bukauskas here in this spot. Khalil absolutely no emotion on him, which was something I found very interesting. I've been listening to a lot of Khalil's interviews. I've been watching very, very closely, and he's finally hit the point where he doesn't care. He's finally hit the point where he's stopped putting any type of weight on the fans or what they think of him or looking into what people are saying online. And I think that's good for him. He's a bit of a head case. He's one of these guys, if he doesn't come in locked in, he's in trouble. But on his best day, Khalil Rountree is an absolute monster. And honestly, this blank, no emotion approach from him, very opposite of like what happened to him with Yeon Kutalaba, where he wanted to be buddy-buddy and then Yeon screamed in his face and you could tell it like unsettled him. Like this new approach from Khalil, I think, is something that's going to be a positive for him. The problem for me here is the size advantage of Modestas. Now, Modestas is a young guy. there's a lot of improvements he can make. Now, I can't bet on him thinking maybe he'll improve in this spot. We got to see it. He's got to prove to me that he can actually make those adjustments, because his last 2-3 fights have all looked identical as far as what he's done in there. And if he shows up the way he did his last 2 fights, I think Khalil Rountree can get this guy out of there in the first or second round. If Khalil comes in, he puts his hard hat on, he brings his pick, and he goes to work out there, he can absolutely get the finish here in this fight. But he's going to struggle with the height. He's going to struggle with the reach. And if he doesn't get that early finish, I do think Modestas can kind of chip his way back into this fight and win this thing in the second, the third, maybe go into the judges' scorecards when Khalil slows down a little bit. So lots of questions in this fight. I wanted to bet Khalil Rountree basically all week. I've been extremely tempted on Khalil Rountree, and I love what I see from him on the scales, but the size disadvantage is enough for me to go, okay, I think I'm just going to stay off, because Modestas does look like he's in the best shape of his life. Alex Morono taking on David Zawada. Both men came in at 170.5, and Alex Morono looked defiant up there on the scales. I mean, he looks like he's got a chip on his shoulder coming into this one. He's never physically imposing, so I can't comment too much about how great he looked or anything like that, but David Zawada on the flip side of this thing, he's in excellent shape. Big flex, abs for days. I mean, this guy, he knows what's ahead of him, and he very much looks like he took this opportunity seriously. Great face-off. Morono got in close on Zawada. These guys are staring right into each other's souls. Slight size advantage for David Zawada. I'm on the Zawada side. I got plus 155 earlier in the week. It feels really good to beat this move because he's all the way down to plus 110 across the board. Now, you don't always have a super high success rate when you're on the public dog side of things, but the fact that I beat the line move by a full 40 cents, that feels a whole lot better. I wouldn't suggest taking David Zawada at a pick'em price tag. This line is about more where I expect it should have opened in the first place, so being closer to pick'em, I don't know that I'd make a big deal about jumping on David Zawada at this point or jumping on Alex Morono at this point, but plus 155, I definitely liked that number. I like being on the dog when it's potentially a split decision type of situation. The over 2.5 isn't a bad look here either, unless David Zawada does something crazy and gets Alex Morono in a sub. Co-main event time, Tom Aspinall taking on Sergey Spivak. Tom Aspinall came in at 247. Sergey came in at 238.5. Now, Tom Aspinall, he's feeling himself. He came in looking good. He's in solid shape. He did his arms up in the air. This guy's claiming victory before the fight ever even happens. Sergey Spivak came in, classic polar bear. Dude is big. Dude is heavy. Got on the scales, looking fine. But let me talk to you real quick about the weight. He looks like he's got less flab on his body. And I looked back at his record. 238 is the lightest he has come in since the Tybura fight. People are talking about how Sergey Spivak is coming in on short notice and that's going to be a problem. He's been training hard. He's been working. And he's been eyeballing Tom Aspinall for a long time. These guys have been synced up to fight a couple of times before and it's never quite materialized. So he's game planned for this opponent before. He's been ready to fight this guy before. And even though he's coming in on short notice, he's in maybe the best shape of his life. And we have not seen him down at 238.5 in a long time. So if that tells you anything, he's not blown up. He's not rolling off the couch. He's ready for this fight. Big size difference. Tom Aspinall does definitely have a size advantage in this spot, but I very much question his gas tank. It was a respectful face-off. I did jump in on the Sergey Spivak side of things. I got plus 215 earlier in the week. That's come down to about plus 200, plus 190 across the board, it looks like, so slightly beat the line move there. This is a scary bet, folks. This is one that I'm honestly terrified of. I don't really want to be on Sergey Spivak in this spot because I have no delusions of the kind of fighter that Tom Aspinall is and could be, but I think this line is off, and I think Sergey Spivak has a very clear path to victory. If he can just survive the first 3 minutes of this fight, I think Tom Aspinall will slow down and struggle with the grappling and the pressure of Sergey Spivak once this fight gets into the second and third rounds. So I'm on the dog here, and I always say that sometimes the hardest bets to make are the best bets to make, and that's kind of how I feel in this situation. I don't really want to be on Sergey Spivak, and part of me is almost assuming already that this bet is going to lose, but I do think that it's the right spot to take. Main event time, Derek Brunson taking on Darren Till. Brunson came in at 186, Till 185.5, and Brunson's feeling himself. Gave multiple flexes on the scale, but he shaved the blonde. Blonde Brunson has been the MMA mythical creature for the last couple of years, and he took the blonde hair off. I'm going to let that sink in. Darren Till, on the other hand, first to the scales, making a statement, looked good. Gave a good, solid flex. He's ready to go in this situation as well. They face off. Brunson has a size advantage. We kind of knew that. Again, this is one of those weird situations where Till is always the bigger man in my brain, so seeing Brunson have the size advantage on Till, it's just a little bit daunting. Both guys relaxed, very respectful. This is not one of those bad intentions type of fights or anything like that, but it's a real crossroads match for both guys. Brunson needs this win if he's ever going to be in title contention, and Darren Till needs this win if he's ever going to fit in at 185 because he's had a rough run of it so far, and he needs to impress. I still think that Derek Brunson is going to grapple until he gasses, and once he gasses, I think Darren Till is going to take over. I think Darren Till is a much slicker striker than Derek Brunson is. Brunson might be more explosive, but I think Till probably hits harder with his more accurate shots. It's close. It's close. This is one of those spots where I don't blame you whatsoever for taking a shot on the winning fighter, the underdog, the bigger fighter. It all makes sense to be on Brunson here in this spot, and I don't like laying minus 175, minus 180. My prediction is Darren Till round 4 KO. So looking at the Till inside the distance or knockout line is probably more the way that I would look. And I might sprinkle those rounds 3, 4, and 5 because those are the numbers that I think are going to matter. I don't think Till has the volume or the aggression to come out early and finish this thing in like the first round or anything like that. He's going to have to wait for Brunson to slow down. Once Brunson slows down after all the takedown attempts and things like that, then Darren Till will be able to take over here in this fight, but I just hate the line. If you gave me minus 110 on Till, I'd be all over Till in this spot, but I am not a Till truther. In fact, I'm a Till hater. Both these guys are guys I've tried to fade, so I'm having a hard time jumping off of the fading Brunson because I keep seeing the same exact holes in his game, just no one's been able to expose them. I don't know if Till is the guy that will be able to expose those holes, but he seems like he's got the tools to do it. So I'm going to say Darren Till. I'm going to say Darren Till by knockout, probably later in the fight, 3rd or 4th round. That is the Undefeated post weigh-in show. A recap of what we're talking about here. Molly McCann, much more impressive than I expected her to be. So far, no move from me, but definitely in the Molly camp side of things. Jack Shore, way bigger than I expected. Added Jack Shore inside the distance to my card. Bad looking weight cut from Jonathan Martinez. Marcelo Rojo officially a play for me at this point, going heavy. 2 units on the money line, 1 unit on the inside the disc line, trying to capitalize on an opponent having a really rough weight cut and possibly being in trouble come fight time, because don't forget, we're talking early fights. He doesn't even have the extra couple of hours to get rehydrated and get back in there. The fights are first thing tomorrow morning. He's got less than 24 hours at this point to get feeling better, so I don't think he's going to have time to do so, and I think Rojo is going to get him out of there. That's the Undefeated post weigh-in show, folks. Smash the like button, hit the retweet, share this with your weird grandma who loves mixed martial arts. Good luck on all your degenerate action, and I will see you tomorrow. Let's roll.